Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Space News for Friday, October 12th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kyle Henry. Let's talk about what's going on in space.
I never want to hold again.
Tracking heavies and startup.
Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Status check.
Go Delta.
5, 4, 3.
Let's start off with an update on the Soyuz MS-10 failure. So first off, I want to give an overview of the abort system because in the video that we uploaded last night wasn't really a great sort of knowing how it worked, I guess. So there are actually three parts to the abort system: the actual escape tower that's at the very top that's used for the initial stages of flight. Then the actual fairing breaks down into two parts. That sort of the top part starts at the habitation module and goes all the way up to where the abort tower is. Then the bottom part is like basically everything else. That top part is actually what they use to abort. So it has some solid rocket motors on it. So when it realized something was wrong, it triggered those motors to fire and to separate at the habitation module. So that's how they aborted out. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of information out at the time yet. And like it came out that the video from yesterday came out last night, but in reality we recorded it around noon Eastern Standard Time, so it was like 12 hours from recording to actually when we uploaded it, and in those 12 hours we learned a lot of information about the failure. So I'd also like to revise my theory on it. So if we look at this video from a Soyuz flight out of French Guiana for Arianespace, it shows booster separation, and you can see they sort of decouple at the bottom and sort of fly up, and then they decouple at the top and shoot outward. If we look at this picture from Bill Inglis, who is one of NASA's like main photographers, and he's an amazing guy and doesn't get enough credit. Like we're gonna start crediting more on this show, but you can see there's only 3 boosters instead of the normal 4 for Soyuz. What I'm thinking happened now, and this is also based on a tweet by Anatoly, who is a Russian media news reporter, and he's an amazing reporter. Like he's probably the best Russian one that I know of. Noted that I don't speak or read Russian, so I don't know a lot of Russian reporters. But in his tweet, he said that there was some insider or some information from industrial partners with Roscosmos that said that the telemetry seemed to indicate that the stage separated but then recollided and something went wrong in the pyrotechnics there. So what I'm thinking happened is the stage separated at the bottom and then didn't separate at the top and came back and whacked the core stage, causing it to depressurize, which is where we see that puff of cloud, or the cloud that formed. And then that depressurization also pushed the first stage off course as well. That would explain why thrust was terminated on the core, because if it's losing propellant, and the tank is losing pressure, then it's gonna fall or lose thrust as well. It would also explain why in other pictures we also see that 4th booster come out eventually. So yeah, that's what I think happened now. I still think it's a quality issue. Like the root cause is going to be something in quality. There's just something that tells me, because Soyuz has flown thousands of flights. The separation system doesn't change that much, and the fact that this was the 65th flight of a Soyuz FG and it failed on this one, the separation would be a mature design at that point. The only way that it would happen on this and not any other is if it's something in the quality of it or something was missed. So yeah. But the Air Force awarded Blue Origin, ULA, and Northrop Grumman launch contracts to develop prototype launch systems. The contracts are worth $2 billion in total. Of that, $500 million went to Blue Origin for New Glenn, $792 million went to Northrop Grumman for the Omega rocket, and $967 million went to ULA for the Vulcan rocket. Blue Origin has said that they will be using these funds to build a launch complex at Vandenberg. Personally, I don't really see the point of this. I think these funds will be better used to equip Blue Origin New Glenn with the AFTS, the Automated Flight Termination System, because a few months ago they announced that polar missions could take place out of Cape Canaveral if it had the AFTS on. So right now only Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy use those, or use the AFTS. So only they could do polar missions out of Cape Canaveral. But like, if you can do all of your missions at one base, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. But I mean, also I guess it does give them another launch site. So you know what? It's Jeff Bezos' money, and I guess the Air Force's money at this point, but he can do what he wants with it, I guess, as long as it's developing the new system. But speaking of developing new stuff, Rocket Labs has opened a new factory in New Zealand for building the Electron rocket. In it, they already have 3 rockets there sitting and waiting. Not sure if these were built at that factory or if they were built in their California factory and shipped to New Zealand. It's a really interesting looking place. It's really like it doesn't look like a rocket facility like you'd think. It looks like it's some, I think I saw it described as like a modern art exhibit. But in Rocket Lab's announcement, they also announced that they would be announcing their U.S. launch sites in the next week or two. A few months back, they said that they would be choosing between Alaska's Kodiak launch site, Cape Canaveral, Wallops Island, and Vandenberg. But it should be noted that on Rocket Lab's website, for U.S. launch sites, it already says Cape Canaveral and Alaska and doesn't mention the other 2, so they may have preempted themselves. Personally, I was really hoping for Wallops, but I'm biased since Wallops is a 4-hour drive from where I'm at, and Cape Canaveral is a 14-hour drive from where I'm at, so. But if you are a launch company looking for a quiet launch facility, Wallops Island, it's a really great place. I will approve of you if you do that. And SpaceX issued a notice to airmen for a fairing drop test that occurred yesterday. This test occurred off the coast of California. They took a Black Hawk helicopter out and Mr. Steven out, and they dropped the fairing, trying to catch it with Mr. Steven. Elon had announced this a few months back that they would be doing drop tests, and this seems to just be them doing it. We likely won't hear anything official, but I'm sure the Teslarati reporters or some of the other West Coast reporters will be in the port of Los Angeles waiting for it to come back, and we'll get some word there. So yeah. But we're going to close with some more bad news for NASA space telescopes and NASA in general. The Chandra space telescope is now in safe mode. It entered safe mode on Wednesday, and they are still determining the reason for entering. However, it was a nominal transition to safe mode, meaning nothing was like cut off really quickly because of some failsafe. Like, the vehicle seems to be in good health. It's just something went wrong. They said that the telescope maneuvered itself so that it would be pointing its lens away from the sun and its solar arrays in the angle to get the maximum sunlight possible. So it seems to be healthy. It just went into safe mode for some reason. We're not sure why yet. Still figuring this out. But the Chandra Space Telescope was launched 19 years ago aboard Columbia on STS-93, or Space Shuttle Columbia, that is. But its mission was only planned to be 5 years, and it exceeded that to 19 years. The team seems to think that they will get it back. Their tweet said that they expect it to be online soon, so hopefully everything will go well. But there are no upcoming launches that we know of. But both China and India have launches scheduled for early October, so there's a chance that either one of those could occur between this episode and our next one. But there's no date given, so I can't really say if they will or not. But one of them, the China one, we won't know about anyway. There's not like there will be a live stream. But if India comes back and announces between now in Tuesday's episode that they're going to do it, say, Monday night at 9 a.m. I'll post something on the Twitter to let you guys know about it. And yeah. But I'm Kyle Henry. Thank you so much for joining us. We post newscasts like this every Tuesday and Friday. So if you enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on what's going on in space. We also post the sources for today's stories in the description down below, so you can check our facts. And if something seems off, let us know. We strive for 100% accuracy in our coverage. Thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.